Today we're on page 91 in our notebook, and we're going to be talking about indirect measurements. So go ahead and pause your video so that you can set up your notebook. Your learning objective says use corresponding sides to set up a proportion to solve for the missing side in a given shape. And your language objective says explain how to find perimeter of a shape given similar figures. Your warm-up says find the height of the cactus. So remember that I want to color code these. So go ahead and get your colors out so that you can color code just like I am. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking to solve for that x. So remember that you need to set up a proportion in order to solve this. So go ahead and pause your video so that you can solve for x, that missing side on that cactus. Alright, so let's make sure that we have done our warm-up correctly. So I know that I have blue and red, so what I want to do is color these in, my red and then my blue will go on the bottom. Remember that I also need to label small and big. So I'm going to label this one small, and I'm going to label this one big, and I want to do the same thing on my proportion. So I know that my small red is going to be 3. I know that my big red is where this x is. I know that my small blue is 5 and my big blue is 15. In order for me to solve for x, I know I have to cross multiply. So I have to do 15 times 3. So 15 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 plus 1 is 4, so I get 45. But don't forget to divide by that 5. So I have 45, and I've got to divide by 5. Well, I know that 5 times 9 will give me 45. So my answer should be x is equal to 9. So I know the height of my cactus is 9 feet. Alright, let's go to our examples. Let's write underneath your warm-up. So example A gives you a diagram right in the middle of it. And so what I have to do is fill in my 4 boxes around my diagram. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to color code. So what this is a small triangle and a large triangle. And so what I want to first do is, actually let's redraw them. So I have this triangle so that it looks like this. And I want to go ahead and draw those angles in there. And let's also draw the measurements, or write the measurements rather. Then what I want to do is I want to draw a smaller one. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing this small one right here, but I want it to be facing the exact same way that the larger one is. And so what I want to do is I want to label just like this, just how it is already. So I know that this is angle Z. And then I want to go ahead and label the other one. So if I were to flip this right on over, let's label this one with my 2. And let's label this one with the 1 on my angles. So what I need to do is I also need to label. So the one with the 2 on my angles is Y. And the one with just the 1 is W. And I also need to label my sides. So I know that side WY or YW is 4. And I know that side YZ or ZY is 5. And I don't know that last one there. Now that I've redrawn them, I want to color code them. So let's color code here. So I know which sides go with each other. So now that we've done that, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to solve our problems. So the first one says, given that the 2 triangles are similar, list the corresponding angles and corresponding sides using the proper notation. And so that's kind of what I did here, but let's go ahead and list them. So I have my angles. I'm going to list my angles here. So I know that angle X, which is right here, where those 2 notations are, corresponds to angle Y. I know that angle T corresponds to angle W, and I know that angle Z corresponds to angle Z. So both of those angles on both triangles correspond to each other. Now I also need to list my sides. So I'm going to have to take up just a little bit of room down here to label my sides. I know that side, my red side or my side TX, I know that that corresponds to the red side on the smaller one, which is side WY. I know that my green side, which is side TZ, I know that that corresponds to my other green side, which is side WZ. I know that my blue side, which is side XZ, I know that that corresponds to my other blue side, which is YZ. So now let's look at the second one. It says determine the length of D. So what I want to do is I want to set up a proportion. I'm going to use the color coding that I've already done on the first box, and I want to set that up. So I want to find the blue side, or my length of D. Well, my D is on my blue, so I know that I need blue up here. Then the only option that I have is to use red, because that's the only one that I know both numbers for. So I've got to use red on the bottom. Remember that we want to label our big and our small. So this one's the big and this one's the small. So let's also label that on our proportion. So I know that my small blue is 5. I know that my big blue is D. I know that my small red is 8, and my big red, or I'm sorry, this one's actually 4. Small red is 4, and my big red is 8. So make sure that you made that correction. So now I have to cross multiply. I know that 8 times 5 is 40, and I want to divide by 4. 4 goes into 4 once. Then I bring down this 0, and 4 goes into 0 times. So I know that D is equal to 10 meters. Don't forget your unit. The next one says, what is the distance from the park to the farmhouse? Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and label this 5. Let's go ahead and put 5 here, 5 meters. So I want to go this whole length here. So this is my park, and this is the house, and it wants to know the distance between these two things. Well, what I know is that this D was equal to 5. That's what I just found. And so I also know that this 5 is what belongs right there. So if I add those together, I do 5 plus 5, and that gives me 10. So it's 10 meters from the park to the farmhouse. Alright, so let's look at the last one. It says if both triangles are isosceles, what is the perimeter of the smaller triangle? And record your answer on the right. And so what isosceles means is that I have two sides that are equal to each other. And so if I were to say that these two sides right here were equal to each other, or if let's go ahead and color them green. So if those two sides are equal to each other, I know that this one would be also 5. And so in order for me to find the perimeter of something, remember that's what we learned yesterday. So what I have to do is I have to add all those sides, because perimeter means all the way around something. So I want to know all of these sides added together. So in order for me to do that, I've got to do 5 plus 5 plus 4. Well, 5 plus 5 gives me 10, and then 10 plus 4 gives me 14. So the answer for perimeter would be 14 meters. But I have to bubble this in. Because 14 is a whole number, it goes before my decimal. So I want to go ahead and shade in my 1 and my 4. So you could leave it like that, or you could also bubble in the zeros. Either way would be correct. Alright, so let's go to the next example. Example B, it gives you two trapezoids that are sitting inside of each other. So the first one says, given that the isosceles trapezoids are similar, redraw so that they can be viewed separately. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to redraw. So I have a small one Then I have a larger one. Then I have to label these. So my small one, which is this one right here, let's take those and label them. So the first one I have K and G, and I know between those it's 5 centimeters. Then I have H, and I know between G and H is 3. And then I have L, and then I have between K and L, which is 9 centimeters. Then let's take our larger one, which is this one right here, the blue one that I'm outlining, and let's go ahead and label that one. So I have K, I have F, I have L over here, and between K and L I know is 9. Then I have J, and I know between L and J is a Y, because I don't know what that is. It's my missing side. And then I have a W on the bottom here, because I also don't know that side. Alright, so now that I've done them separately, let's see. It says set up a proportion and solve for Y. So in order for me to solve for Y, let's go ahead and color code the figures that we just drew. So I want to color code this green. Let's go ahead and color code all of the sides. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to do. Right, now that we've color coded, I have to set up a proportion. So I need to set up a proportion so that it looks like this. And I'm looking for Y, so I'm looking for that yellow side. Because I'm looking for the yellow side, I want to go ahead and box this in yellow. And then what I also need is I need another side where I have both of the numbers for, on the small and the big. So I want to go ahead and use red on the bottom. I'm using red because I have the number for both of the red sides on my small and my large. So let's go ahead and label this small and big. And then go ahead and label your proportions small and big. Alright, so I have my small and my big, and what I need to do is I need to go ahead and set up my proportions. So I have a small yellow. Well, if I look over here, there's nothing here. So I don't really know that small yellow, except I do. And the reason why I do is because it tells me that this is an isosceles trapezoid. And because it's an isosceles trapezoid, I know that this side is also going to be 5. Because I know that these sides are equal to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 5 in my small yellow. My small red is going to be 3. My big yellow is that Y that I'm looking for. And the big red is going to be 9. So I have to cross multiply here. 9 times 5 gives me 45. And then I have to divide by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So I know that Y is equal to 15 centimeters. Do not forget your unit. So the next one says set up a proportion and solve for W. So I want to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to set up a proportion so that it looks like this. And what I want to do is I want to solve for W, so I know I need that blue side in there. And I want to go ahead and use the same red side. Let's go ahead and use red. Because I'm still going to use red, I'm going to still put 3 and 9 in there. And I still want to label small and big. My small blue side is going to be 9, and my big blue side is going to be W. So I need to cross multiply and divide. 9 times 9, which gives you 81, and divide by 3. 3 goes into 8 2 times. And 3 goes into 21 7 times.